Yo, listen up. Ever noticed a friend's post mysteriously deleted or a comedian's routine flagged for being too edgy? Welcome to the world of censorship, where your voice can be silenced with a click. In today's digital age, we're bombarded with information. But what happens when that information is filtered or deleted? Join me as we dive into the world of censorship and why protecting our freedom of speech is more critical than ever. We'll guide you through this digital minefield with a bit of humor because, let's face it, this stuff can get heavy. So, settle in, grab your thinking caps, and get ready to learn why censorship is about as welcome as a spam call at dinner time. Picture this, a world where you can't say what you think, read what you want, or even watch what you choose. Sounds like a bad sci-fi movie, right? Well, that's the reality of censorship. Censorship is when someone in power, government, big tech, or even your nosy neighbor, controls what you can see, hear, or say. They might do it to protect people from harmful content, but their definition of harmful might differ from yours, or they might just want to maintain their own power and control. It's a slippery slope, and once we start censoring ideas we don't like, it's a short trip down a very dark and twisty path. Let's talk about George Orwell's 1984, the OG warning label for censorship. In Orwell's dystopian masterpiece, Oceania isn't just some random country, it's a whole mood. Imagine a world where the government controls every aspect of your life, from what you eat to what you think. They even control what you believe is true, which is messed up on so many levels. Orwell wrote 1984 as a warning, not a how-to guide, but here we are in the 21st century, and some of the stuff he wrote about is starting to feel a little too real. 1984 shows us what happens when censorship runs rampant, when dissenting voices are silenced, and when critical thinking goes out the window. Let's talk about doublethink, the ultimate mind game played by the party in 1984. Imagine being told to believe two contradictory things at the same time. Up is down, black is white, war is peace. You get the picture. This constant mental gymnastics wasn't just about confusing people. It was about breaking down their ability to think critically and question authority. And if that wasn't bad enough, the party also introduced newspeak, a twisted version of English designed to limit thought itself. By shrinking the vocabulary and eliminating words like freedom and justice, the party aimed to control the very way people thought. These tools of manipulation highlight a crucial point. Censorship isn't just about deleting words or banning books. It's about controlling the narrative, shaping public opinion, and ultimately, controlling you. Now, let's talk about the Ministry of Truth, or as I like to call it, the Ministry of Lies. This Orwellian institution was responsible for spreading propaganda, altering historical records, and making sure that the party's version of reality was the only version anyone ever heard. They were the ultimate spin doctors, twisting facts, fabricating stories, and rewriting history to fit the party's agenda. Sadly, this isn't just a dystopian fantasy. It's a reality for millions of people around the world living under authoritarian regimes. The Ministry of Truth reminds us that censorship often disguises itself as something noble, like protecting people from harmful information, but it's often used to silence dissent and maintain power. Remember those creepy telescreens in 1984 that spied on people in their homes? Yeah, turns out Orwell was pretty much a prophet. Fast forward to today, and we've got smartphones, smart TVs, smart speakers. Basically everything smart except for some of the people using them. We're living in a world of digital surveillance where our every click, like, and share is tracked, analyzed, and monetized. Governments and corporations are collecting massive amounts of data on us. And let's be real, they're not always using it for good. We've got facial recognition technology, location tracking, and algorithms that seem to know us better than we know ourselves. While the internet has given us an unprecedented platform to express ourselves, it's also become a breeding ground for censorship. Governments around the world are cracking down on online dissent, blocking websites, censoring social media, and even arresting people for their online activity. And the worst part is, it's often done in the name of national security or combating terrorism. Now, let's talk about everyone's favorite digital playground, social media. It's where we connect with friends, share our thoughts, and waste countless hours scrolling through cat videos. But it's also become a battleground for censorship, where our voices are increasingly being silenced by shadow bans, algorithm manipulation, and corporate greed. You post something that goes against the grain and boom, your reach gets throttled, your account gets flagged, or you get hit with the dreaded shadow ban. Social media companies claim they're just trying to protect us from harmful content. But who are they to decide what we can and can't see or say? Algorithms curate our feeds, showing us what they think we want to see, creating echo chambers where we're only exposed to information that reinforces our existing beliefs. And the scariest part is, most people don't even realize it's happening. Now, let's talk about a topic that's as controversial as pineapple on pizza: cancel culture. It's become the boogeyman of the internet, blamed for everything from silencing conservative voices to ruining the careers of celebrities. But is it really censorship, or is it just a form of accountability? Cancel culture, in its essence, is about holding people, especially those in positions of power, accountable for their words and actions. However, there's a fine line between holding people accountable and silencing dissenting voices. When cancel culture turns into a witch hunt, where people are afraid to express their opinions for fear of being ostracized or worse, it becomes a form of censorship. The key is to find that balance, to call out injustice without resorting to censorship, to engage in respectful dialogue even when we disagree. Yo, history buffs, buckle up because we're about to take a trip down memory lane. And trust me, it ain't pretty. Censorship isn't some new phenomenon dreamt up by big tech or triggered Twitter users. It's been around for centuries, used by those in power to silence dissent, control the narrative, and maintain their grip on the throne. From ancient empires to medieval monarchies, rulers have always understood the power of information. Control what people read, hear, and see, and you control their thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Think about it. The Roman Empire, with its mighty legions and impressive togas, was also pretty good at silencing anyone who dared to question their authority. The point is, censorship has been a constant throughout history, used by those in power to maintain their grip on society. Let's get real for a minute. Nothing screams, "I'm terrified of new ideas," quite like burning books. It's the ultimate act of censorship, a violent attempt to erase knowledge, silence dissent, and control the narrative. From the infamous Nazi book burnings in 1930s Germany to the destruction of libraries in ancient Alexandria, rulers and regimes have long recognized that art and literature have the power to inspire, to challenge, and to incite change. But it's not just about books. Music, too, has often been a target of censorship, seen as a threat to morality, social order, or, gasp, even political stability. When we censor art, we're not just silencing artists, we're silencing ourselves. Think about some of the most influential figures in history: scientists, artists, activists, revolutionaries, the ones who dared to challenge the status quo, to speak truth to power, and to fight for a better world. Chances are they faced censorship, persecution, or worse for their beliefs. Galileo Galilei, the father of modern astronomy, was condemned by the Catholic Church for his support of heliocentrism, the idea that the Earth revolves around the sun. Mahatma Gandhi, the leader of India's independence movement, was repeatedly jailed for his non-violent resistance against British rule. Nelson Mandela, the anti-apartheid revolutionary who spent 27 years in prison for his activism, is another powerful example of how censorship often targets those fighting for justice and equality. These are just a few examples of how censorship has been used throughout history to silence the voices of change, to suppress dissenting views, and to maintain the status quo. But these stories also remind us that the human spirit, the desire for freedom and justice, is incredibly resilient. Section 1. The Hunger Games, When Reality Bites Back. All right, pop culture junkies, let's dive into a world where reality TV gets real dark. Suzanne Collins' The Hunger Games. Imagine a society where the government controls everything you see, hear, and say, and then throws in a televised bloodbath for good measure. Yeah, it's pretty messed up. In Panem, the capital uses state-run media to control the narrative, glorifying the games while suppressing any dissent or rebellion in the districts. Katniss Everdeen, our girl on fire, becomes a symbol of hope and resistance, challenging the capital's propaganda with her courage and defiance. Think about it. The capital is all about spectacle, about distracting the masses with bread and circuses, or in this case, tributes and explosions, while keeping them in the dark about the truth. Sound familiar? It's like that old saying, keep 'em entertained, keep 'em in line. The Hunger Games reminds us that censorship often goes hand in hand with oppression, with those in power using media manipulation to control the narrative and maintain their grip on society. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of blind obedience, the importance of critical thinking, and the power of individual voices to challenge even the most oppressive regimes. Remember the 5th of November and free speech. Alan Moore's V for Vendetta is about masks, anarchy, and fighting for freedom. In a dystopian future, a masked vigilante known as V fights against a fascist government. V for Vendetta is a powerful allegory for free speech and the dangers of censorship. The Guy Fawkes mask symbolizes rebellion and the fight for free speech. Yo, music lovers, let's get real. Music has always been a powerful tool for protest and social change. From the anti-war anthems of the 60s to hip-hop tracks calling out police brutality, musicians challenge the status quo. When those voices are silenced, it's an attack on freedom of expression itself. Think about NWA as Fuck the Police, a song that faced censorship for its portrayal of police brutality, or Rage Against the Machine, known for revolutionary lyrics and anti-establishment stance. These artists remind us that music has the power to inspire and ignite social change. When we censor music, we're silencing ourselves. We're denying ourselves the chance to engage with different perspectives and be moved by music. We've journeyed through the dystopian world of 1984, scrolled past the shadow bands of social media, and even felt the burn of history's censored flames. Why should we care about censorship? Imagine a world where you bite your tongue, afraid to share your thoughts, your creativity, your truth. That's the price of silence, fam, a world without a voice. Censorship thrives in the shadows, often disguised as something noble. You're smart enough to think for yourselves. You can handle different perspectives. Your voice, your perspective. Those are the weapons that dismantle the walls of silence. Be informed, be critical, and call out BS. Support creators who challenge the status quo. Educate yourself on tactics used to silence dissent. The internet gives us a platform to make our voices heard. Fight for a digital space that values free expression and open dialogue. This isn't a spectator sport, fam. Protecting freedom of speech requires action, engagement, and a whole lot of noise. So how do we fight back against the silent killer of free speech? Simple, we get loud. Support organizations fighting for freedom of expression and digital rights. Call out censorship when you see it, whether it's happening to you or someone else. Engage in respectful dialogue, even with people you disagree with. Remember, listening is just as important as speaking up. Educate yourself and others about the dangers of censorship and the importance of a free and open internet. Share articles, videos, and resources with your friends, family, and followers. Start conversations both online and offline about the importance of protecting our right to think, speak, and create freely. The fight for free speech is an ongoing battle, one that requires constant vigilance and action. But it's a fight worth having because the alternative, a world where our voices are silenced, our minds are controlled, and our creativity is stifled, is a world we can't afford to live in. So, go forth, my freedom-loving friends, and make some noise. The world is listening.